everyone. Thank you so much for joining us on another great episode. I'm Fotis Stamos, and as always, with me, my host, Claudia Leitzman. Claudia, another pleasure to be here with you as well.
Thank you. Good to be
And,
here.
we bring a lot of great, interesting individuals to the table at our podcast, right? Representing different industries, wine, spirits, and so forth. But our guest today has a fascinating background, and it's an honor to have him here with us. So, with us here today, Mr. Marc Farrell, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much.
You just got off a
Pleasure to be
flight,
here.
and here you are
Exactly.
with us, right?
That's right. That's right. I made the long trek from New York City.
New York City.
Yeah.
But it sounds like you come from farther than just New York City.
I do. Usually the accent gives it away pretty quickly. So I don't think I get confused for New Yorker too often. Born and raised in Trinidad and Tobago. So very proudly from the Caribbean.
Excellent.
Even though I've now lived abroad for 25 years at this point.
And you have some roots. So, we're actually here filming in Boston.
Mhm.
So, you have some roots here, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So as I said, I left Trinidad as a 16-year-old, and my first stop in the U.S. was right there in Boston, Cambridge to be precise. But came here for undergrad, studied at MIT, and then that began sort of a long love affair with the great city of Boston for about a decade.
So, that means you're a Celtics fan.
I'm a Celtics fan.
Okay.
I'm a Celtics
Gotta
fan.
put- I had to add
Get
that.
that out there. Get that out there nice and early.
If you
Yeah.
said no,
Yeah.
we have cut the episode.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll be one of the shorter episodes on air, I imagine, right?
So, Mark, it's impressive enough to mention the journey from your homeland of Trinidad to come to Boston, but MIT specifically, when you hear MIT, that's not a small endeavor. That's a big thing. So, what brought you to MIT? What was going on back then?
Yeah, great question. I'm still not sure, to be honest.
Okay.
Growing up in Trinidad, lucky to have some amazing parents who really kind of instilled in both my twin sister and I, this sort of global ambition, this sense that, really you can make anything possible.
Right.
Very much striving as a core attribute of both of us, I would say. Was interested in science and math at that point in time. Never thought I was going to be a practicing engineer, but I thought that just the challenge, to be honest, of coming to a place like MIT and pitting yourself against some of the world's best
Of
in
course.
science and math and engineering would be an interesting challenge. So I took that up as a 16-year-old, came here to college.
16-year-old.
Oh my
And,
gosh.
16.
Yeah.
Okay.
Had quite the experience,
Amazing.
Yeah.
So you're doing your studies at MIT, loving life,
Mm-hmm.
experiences, and then what happens?
Well, after MIT, so I had kind of a back and forth between this Cambridge and the other Cambridge in the UK.
Ah.
So
Oh,
so
wow.
I studied at MIT, did my undergrad here, went over to the UK, did a master's at Cambridge, England. Really honestly like an excuse to go play basketball for a couple of extra years, a little
There
bit
you
of a
go.
boondoggle. So Celtics fan and former
Got it.
basketball
I see the
player.
connection.
Yeah, I see the connection. I came back to Boston to start my career. So my first job was actually not very far from here, just down at right up next to Back Bay Station.
Okay.
At Bain& Company, working in management consulting, incredible, foundational years.
Sure.
Lived right there in the Back Bay. All my best friends were here between the Back Bay and South Bend, and we just kind of ran around the city for a few years, which was great. I went back to the UK. I did private equity, venture capital for a couple of years, and then came back to Boston again to go to Harvard for business school.
Oh my god.
So I came back here in 2008. Very interesting time to be anywhere, in the midst of the financial crisis
Sure.
and everything happening. Good time to be at school, I think, in the grand scheme of things. And yeah, I had an incredible 2-year experience, 2-year run here at Harvard Business School as well.
Well, you just put like 10 people's lifetimes. You just
Into one. That's incredible.
It turns out these glasses will take your places.
Yeah, I don't know about mine.
Link in bio.
Yeah, exactly. Link in bio. Buy these glasses. Maybe I should do that instead of
You
rum,
really
right?
should. Okay, so tell us, how in the world did you get from there to rum? Fill us in on this gap.
Yeah, I tell people like a long series of bad decisions, bad life choices. No, I'd done consumer my entire career. So after business school, I moved to New York. I started a business in the sports and media space, did that for a few years, and then after that, I ended up moving to Seattle. Worked at Starbucks for Howard Schultz, founder and CEO of Starbucks. Still amazing guy, still a mentor of mine. I'm
By the way,
big supporter of 10 to 1.
big fan of Starbucks.
You are?
I drink 2 a day.
Oh, amazing. All right. Shout out to Howard Schultz and the Starbucks team, and they gave me an incredible opportunity, an incredible platform. I was at the time the youngest executive there on that team, and had a chance to run a pretty significant business, see up close what it looked like for an incredible entrepreneur like Howard to have built something that iconic. And if you have this sort of entrepreneurial energy sort of stirring inside of you, I think in that sort of environment, it starts to, I think, kind of conjure up this question of what it would look like to create your own business, your own brand, right? Maybe through the lens of whatever, who you are, where you're from, the things you care about. And that's really where the idea for Rum, the genesis of 10 to 1, emerged. I obviously, I've been a big fan of the category for a long time, first as a consumer. My mom doesn't always love when I say on podcasts that I've been a lifelong lover of rum. She thinks that might get twisted a bit, but rum is quite literally born out of the soil where we're from in the Caribbean. So this to me is a very unique opportunity to take something that is from where you're from, elevate it, celebrate it, put it on a global stage. And so, I was in my kind of halfway through my journey at Starbucks, and just this question just kept on coming back. What can I do to bring a little bit of magic, a little bit of reimagination to the rum category? I tell people, like, as an entrepreneur, like, you have these ideas just become impossible to ignore, to the point where you just decide, look, I gotta burn the boats. I gotta go do this thing instead. So I moved back to New York 5 years ago now, to launch Temple.
Wow.
You're at the peak, what most would think, at this level, but yet something is still stirring inside you.
Yeah, yeah. I think I mean, I think the idea of a peak or a trough, for that matter. I mean, I think they're a little bit of a fiction, right? I think that, again, there's this kind of a certain level of entrepreneurial impatience that is almost inescapable in those moments. And so for me, the next chapter was to have a go, to get out there, take a shot, and again try to bring something to life that hopefully can be not just a great and iconic brand in and of itself, but hopefully a great ambassador and a great representative of sort of the broader culture at large.
So, Mark, 10 to 1, what's behind the name?
Yeah, the name, I think, is actually a great place to start with brand, because I think in a lot of ways it signals a lot of the energy and the intention around 10 to 1. The name is inspired by the original Caribbean Federation, which consisted of 10 countries, so quite literally 10 becoming one. Trinidad's prime minister at the time had a famous quote where he had said, "One from 10 leaves zero." Brilliant guy. I think he's pretty good at math, but the point he was making was, if you remove one from the collective, the whole thing falls apart. So we see that 10 to 1 as a brand is based on this idea, this ideal of community, strength in numbers, the idea that we're all stronger together than we are apart.
Impressive. I like that.
I love that name. That's a good
I want to
story.
be part of that.
Exactly.
know,
And I always say that is not meant to be that's not a Trinidadian idea. That's not a Caribbean idea. I mean,
Okay.
it's one that hopefully we can all sort of
Sure.
it resonates hopefully on a global scale, right? This
Absolutely.
idea of stronger together, strength in numbers. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we come up with this name, and then can we speak of real quickly, Mark? For our audience as well, what rum really is, as a spirit.
Yeah, I might be a little biased, but I think rum in many ways is the most elegant, most versatile spirit there is out there.
Okay.
It is one that's often misunderstood. I think that's important to cover. I think a lot of folks, for better or for worse, have come to associate rum with, I think, very kind of specific expressions, specific liquids, and also specific occasions, right? If I had a dollar for everybody who tells me a story about, drinking rum on spring break, or, that one time in the Caribbean. And really, one of our big objectives with 10 to 1 is to try to, I think, open the apertures for folks and expose them to a broader range of liquids, and certainly occasions tied to it. Rum, on a fundamental level, is all rum is a derivative of sugarcane in one way or another. So in the English and Spanish speaking Caribbean, you have molasses, which is a byproduct of the sugar refining process. That's kind of your mash or your input. And in the French speaking Caribbean, they're using freshly cut cane juice. right? And so that's one of the core differentiators between English and Spanish styles versus French agricultural styles. From there, your distillation methods may vary. So, pot distillation method, very popular in Jamaica, for example,
Yeah.
versus column still, which is what you'd find in Trinidad, in the Dominican Republic, what have you. Barbados has a little bit of both. And so you really kind of have a little bit of this decision tree that you sort of walk down with the, based on the provenance, based on the different distillation methods, etc., that can lead you to a variety of expressions that all live under the umbrella of the manner of rum. Yeah.
And which direction did you choose?
Yeah, so one of the things about 10 to 1 that really sets us apart is that we kind of leaned into this idea of creating pan-Caribbean blends. So I always tell people that Trinidad that this is not a Trinidadian rum from a Trinidadian guy. We thought that if you brought different distillation methods, different provenance, different terroir from around the region, you brought those to life, you could create something very nuanced, very unique, and quite exceptional in its own right. And so this idea of beauty in the blend and really kind of building a story of exceptional craft on the back of that is one of the core attributes of 10 to 1. Yeah, so in our case, kind of bringing these different distillation methods, provenance, terroir to life in a single expression, as I said, creates something very unique and very exceptional in its own right. If you're looking at some of the rums in front of us right now, a 10 to 1 aged expression is a blend from 4 countries. Trinidad, Barbados, Jamaica, and the Dominican Republic. It's an 8-year-old rum, aged in ex-bourbon barrels. I always tell people, like, if you're a bourbon or rye whiskey drinker and you pop that bottle open, might as well do it. Might as well do it.
Oh boy.
You're going to find a lot of resonance for your bourbon and rye whiskey drinkers. No additives of any kind. Again, I think a lot of folks will think about rum as being sweet, sugary, highly caloric. This is super clean liquid. It's one of the core attributes of 10 to 1. We do not do any additives, no added sugar, color, flavoring agents of any sort. And should be very versatile. Cheers. Cheers. Nice to share a little sip with you guys.
Yeah,
Exactly.
thank you for
And
being
just
here.
the aromas alone.
Yes, a little bit of baking spice, a little bit of cooked fruit we would describe, a little bit of banana peel, with some of the esters of the Jamaican rum that present. So it has a very kind of warm, sort of richness and inviting nose. And then on the palate, you're gonna get some of that cedar, toffee, caramel, a little bit of that barrel that sort of presents.
Textures.
Yes.
The layers just so smooth.
Wow.
I often describe 10 to 1 as it's almost like different members of a band all playing a role. And that to me is part of the beauty of the blend. You kind of have this undulating profile as you taste through it. What you sort of get on the nose and what expressed on the palate are different. What you get with that first sip, as you kind of stop, taste it, think about it, go back into the second sip, it really does sort of like unfold and unfurl in these really kind of unique and exceptional layers.
Especially like taste buds just are waking up right now.
Yeah, it's a lot. Super complex. So for people who are new to trying rum, what would you suggest aside from just having this straight up? Is there a cocktail you would have in mind? Is there like a simple pairing you would suggest for people who want to have fun with cocktails at home?
Yeah, absolutely. So like I said, there's to me there's 3 things that set 10 to 1 apart. Exceptional craft, super clean liquid with no additives, and then it's really versatile. And so for folks who are just kind of wading into the category and trying to discover new cocktails, this is an amazing, amazing place to start. So look, first of all, if you want to just have a super clean, easy drink, we sort of recommend what we call the origin syrup. So you can just mix the rum with a little bit of soda water or tonic water. Coconut water is amazing. Hot summer day, right? Yeah, sign you up for that. And if you want to create cocktails around it, my single favorite with the dark is a rum old fashioned. So again, lots of folks, used to drinking your old fashions. This makes an extraordinary old fashioned.
I can see that.
I can see that.
You can see how it kind of pairs really well off of that, So old fashioned Manhattan, Negroni, even if the espresso martinis are popular these days. So we do what we call Caribbean coffees, which are our version of espresso martinis. So there's a host of different cocktails you can kind of create with it.
Yeah. This is honestly not what I expected because I'm not that educated when it comes to rum personally in terms of spirits. It's probably what I'm like the least comfortable with.
What a better person to have.
Yeah, this is great. I feel like I'm
that could be helpful,
learning. Yeah, I'm learning as we go here, but this is not what I would expect. It's similar to what you said. I think I expected just something sweet.
Yeah.
which is
Yeah. I
so
think again, it's one of the challenges that I have to
Well,
face and we have to face on a regular basis. Which is, I think people expect either something that's like very sweet, maybe a sugar bomb,
yeah.
or like very like ethanol-y, like a lot of that
right.
burn, that
Mhm.
backbite. But yeah, this is nuanced, it's layered, it's complex, it drinks super smooth. And we're all about, as a brand, we're all about challenging expectations, right?
Yeah.
Of
We're
course.
all about delivering on the unexpected. You can see that with this liquid.
This
For
is
sure.
great. And then, Mark, the other two selections that we have in front of us as well, if we can just speak of those as well.
Yeah, for sure. So super quickly, our 10-to-1 white is a blend from two countries. So this is Jamaican pot still, alongside Dominican column still. Here what we did is, with Jamaican pot still rums, they're known for being usually very big, bold, funky, expressive. They usually live at very high proof. What we kind of wanted to do with this blend was to harness some of those elements. You'll see as you kind of taste through this, you're gonna get these kind of lemongrassy, herbaceous, ripe citrus notes off of the nose. It's a really, really unique nose. If usually for folks, unlike anything they've had before, but you'll see it drinks in a very clean and approachable fashion. A little bit of white pepper on the palate. Nice long finish.
Oh yeah.
It has some real body, viscosity, some weight if you kind of play with it in the glass. And part of that is that it allows it to stand up extraordinarily well in cocktails. It's not going to be a white rum that just kind of disappears into the back. You want to create a classic daiquiri,
That's
a Hemingway, a white Negroni. There's
I'm sold.
so
Yeah,
that.
I mean so from what you are just explaining and as we're actually following this sort of indirect direction, it's like the aromas right away are so inviting.
Hmm.
But then a lot of other beverages and products are very deceiving with aromas. They
Hmm.
might be very delightful, but then once you get into it, you
Yeah,
get a little disappointed. This
yeah,
just follows right through,
yeah, yeah.
from start to finish.
And that's very much our objective, I think, and the nose can be a little bit dissociative from the palate, but that's to me again part of the intrigue of creating these blends, right?
Yeah.
And it's part of why 10-to-1. Well, these are the most awarded rums in the country. That's important to note.
Okay.
So
Wow.
San Francisco World Spirits Competition, double goals, multiple years, LA Spirits Awards. Every major competition, you tend to see 10-to-1 right at the top of that list, which we're certainly very proud of. So really kind of lean into this idea of creating exceptional liquid. And folks behind the bar, you take this to your bartenders, whether they're here in Boston or New York or Atlanta or otherwise, they fall in love with the liquid because they see what you see here,
Right.
which is an incredible experience start to finish, and they can see how that versatility can be harnessed to create a whole host of different cocktails and different applications.
Outstanding, outstanding. And then last but not least,
Yeah, last but not least, so we have our five origin select. So this actually is the newest in our lineup. We brought this to market just about 3 months ago now, 3-4 months ago now. And the idea was this one actually features some really exceptional rum from Guyana. So it's a 5 country blend: Trinidad, Jamaica, Barbados, Dominican Republic, and Guyana. The hero, as I mentioned here, is from the Port Mora. Is from Port Mora in Guyana. We have some rums aged 11 to 15 years old here, and that still in Guyana is the oldest working double wooden pot still in the world.
Wow.
Makes a really unique liquid. We want to kind of design this as a as the ultimate sipper. It's bottled at a slightly higher proof, 46%, 92 proof. But you'll see that again, it drinks in a really kind of smooth,
oh
um,
yeah, it's my turn.
smooth layered fashion. Like the instructions for this are very simple. Pop off the top, pour it in a glass, sip it and enjoy it.
Wow, this a consumer myself and an advocate for different categories of spirits. You think of tequila, you think of scotches, and you think of different types of whiskeys. But I think now that we've got to explore this together, I mean, your production of rum is right in that level.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. At or above, I would say, and again,
Yeah.
and a little bit of a biased sense. But, to me, there's something magical about being able to kind of harness all these different characteristics and bring them together. The blend, as I said in the beginning, is really what gives you an opportunity to do something that's really nuanced and very differentiated.
Yeah. I think these three side by side is a great example for anyone that's trying to gain more exposure in the rum space and just understand what is rum, what is high quality rum.
Agreed.
Um, this is perfect. And you don't want to just have one and enjoy it. Like if you're trying to educate yourself and understand the different flavor profiles there are, get all three or get two, get some form of comparison.
Mhm.
Because having these three right away, you can see that they're all complex and so aromatic, but all incredibly different from one
Right.
another. One more thing before we wrap up is I want to talk about how you have created this rum brand and how very often there's not a lot of people from the Caribbean that are actually creating rum companies. Can you share that experience with us?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's we've talked a lot about the liquid, which clearly is, first and foremost front and center here. But I think the opportunity to be hopefully a great advocate and ambassador for the culture that I quite literally have been born out of, to me is an
Yeah.
amazing opportunity. I think one of the challenges with rum historically is I always say that for some reason rum has kind of landed in this very sort of narrow, post-colonial, sometimes a little tropish kind of narrative, right? Where people, for some reason, tie it to pirate ships and sea monsters and plantations and all of those things. And I say that, in the Caribbean, we have this really incredible tapestry, right? That's extraordinary culture that deserves to be celebrated, that has no shortage of amazing stories to tell. And so 10 to 1, I don't think we're doing anything that crazy. I think we just kind of said, we're going to put some of those stories front and center, tell those instead. And so what you have with the brand today is exceptional award-winning liquid that's also juxtaposed against what I would say is a more contemporary, more authentic, and hopefully more inspired brand narrative as well. And I think, to me, if you start to imagine what success looks like with a brand like 10 to 1, yes, selling cases, yes, getting people to kind of taste the liquid, but also getting them to reframe their perspective of the culture that surrounds it, to me is an amazing opportunity.
I love that. And that's really special for our audience too. I think anybody that's going out of their way to listen to a beverage podcast, it's not only do they enjoy consuming beverages, but they want to learn about them, try new things, and also understand the time and place in which they come from, which is huge. So thank you for sharing that with
Oh,
us.
my pleasure. My pleasure.
And Mark, if I can also include and ask, as our consumers and our audience and our fans are watching the episode, always top of mind is after these episodes is okay. This is sounds great, but anything we can share as far as like availability, at any online presence or e-commerce that for those that might be, in areas that this might be as successful, anything that you might want to share with us for.
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate that call out. So yeah, I mean, look, 10 to 1 today is available in about 24, 25 states around the country.
Okay.
Obviously here in Massachusetts, which we're
Yes.
very excited about, and it's been a real point of pride to kind of bring it to life here, of having spent 10 years growing up in Boston effectively. New York, New Jersey, a bunch of New Connecticut coming soon as well.
Mhm.
We do have a great online presence. Actually, if folks go to 10to1rum.com, we do have an e-commerce experience directly that's on
Directly.
there.
Excellent.
It's directly on
Perfect.
there. We also have a great store finder. You type in your zip code, it'll tell you sort of what liquor
Love
stores
that.
or what restaurants
Love that.
sort of in your direct domain, if you will.
Excellent.
And so yeah, we kind of use those to kind of guide and find your way to some great rum.
Well, that's what I wanted to find out because once this episode is over, the hunt is on, right?
People want to
So
buy. Yeah,
yes, absolutely.
Give the people what they want. Give them some good rum, you know?
exactly.
Yeah,
Cheers
cheers
to
to
Mark,
that.
this is
Cheers to
great.
that.
Thank you so much for spending time with us on your busy schedule. We wish you so much success. This is not going to be the first time, though. This is not going. We're going to definitely get together, have you back because I'm sure there might be some more coming soon in the pipeline, and maybe we
You-
can or can't mention now. But I'm sure I have an itch. Something's going on.
Yeah, well, your instinct is right. We like to be innovative. We like to bring new things to
Excellent.
market. We're working on a couple of new releases later this year that should be pretty special.
All right.
So let's stay tuned
We'll
for
be on
that,
the
and maybe
lookout.
be on the lookout. Maybe we'll come back and do another toast. Then.
Absolutely,
Yeah,
100%.
would love that.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you, Claudia.
Thank you.
Thank you to everyone that was watching. This was amazing. Cheers, everyone. Until the next show.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers.
Thanks for having me. Pleasure.